Hey everybody, this is part two of Jacob Lenhoff's Tours America. This is Dennis. I'm back to answer some questions for you about one of my passions, which is comic books. And first to start off with, I started collecting comic books when I was about 10 years old, which is, let's just say, a long time ago. And some of my favorite comic books back then were Marvel comic books, Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Thor. I wasn't a huge Spider-Man fan for some reason, even though I know he was very popular at the time. But I was also a huge DC Comics fan. Loved Superman, loved the Justice League, loved Teen Titans, loved Legion of Superheroes, anything like that. And I became a fan pretty early on, started collecting just really because I buy the comic books and let them stack up. After a while, I had a stack of comic books this big, and I've now amassed a collection of about 25,000 books. So that's a lot of comic books. Comic books for me growing up were an escape. They were a way for me to lose myself into a fantasy world. I wasn't a very popular kid. I was kind of awkward, a little bit of a nerd, certainly not an athlete by any stretch of the imagination. So comic books were my way to escape the real world. And I also loved cartoons. Back in the mid to late 60s, there were some great Saturday morning Hanna-Barbera cartoons, the Herculoids, Galaxy Trio, the Impossibles, the Space Ghost, the Herculoids, just a whole bunch of great cartoons that I just loved. And they're all super-powered beings and people, and it was just so much fun, and I would be so depressed at the end of Saturday morning when the cartoons were over. So comic books were a huge part of my life. I would nag and cajole my parents into letting me buy some, and of course, as I got older, I was able to buy them more on my own. Kept reading them through college, through the Navy, and I still read them today. I have a stack sitting around here somewhere. I get comic books on a regular basis. Probably, well, let's just probably spend too much on them. Let's just leave it at that. I am both a Marvel and a DC fan. Love both houses, but I'd say I'm probably right now more of a DC fan. One of my favorite comic book movies of all time was the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeve. He nailed Superman as he was being written at the time. And I think that my only criticism of the movie was Gene Hackman's interpretation of Lex Luthor was just way over the top. And then when they rebooted Superman in Superman Returns with Brandon Roth, I thought Brandon did a really nice job of nailing Superman. I love the special effects that Bryan Singer put into the movie. But again, Kevin Spacey should have been a great casting for that role, but he still had the whole silly thing about real estate and land. It was just over the top. For those of you who don't read comic books, Lex Luthor is one of the most intelligent and evil villains within the DC universe. He's super smart and just not a buffoon at all, and he's always played like a buffoon. If you want to see the best interpretation of Lex Luthor, check out a cartoon series that was on Cartoon Network called Young Justice. The take on Lex Luthor in that cartoon is perfect, and if any of the DC executives ever see this, that's the way they should play Lex Luthor in the movie. Jesse Eisenberg, I think, is the actor who played him in the latest installment of the Superman movie. Was horrible. Every time he was on the screen, I wanted to throw up. So am I a Batman fan? Would probably be one question also to ask. I am. Probably my favorite Batman movie is the Christian Bale Batman Begins. I liked that trilogy. Do not like the way it ended. It was way too dark. But I think that Christian did an excellent job interpreting that character. Superman is more of my favorite than Batman, but Batman is a really interesting character. When Superman first came out in 1939, he was very popular, obviously. But if you were not born on the planet Krypton, you couldn't be Superman. But if you studied hard enough, if you worked out hard enough, if you trained in the martial arts, you could potentially be Batman. That's what made his character popular. The TV show of the 60s with Adam West and Burt Ward almost killed Batman as a cartoon, but Frank Miller came out with a book in the 90s called The Dark Knight Returns, which is really what the Christian Bale trilogy is based on, and it resurged Batman as a serious character. He's a full contributing member of the Justice League. Even though he has no superpowers, he's the smartest one there. And I have no doubt that he could take them out if he really wanted to. What else? What do I prefer? I think I've already said that I prefer Superman over Batman as a hero. The other thing that's really cool now, if any of you are watching TV, there's The Flash, there's The Arrow, there's Legends of Tomorrow, there's Supergirl, there's just a whole host of superhero-based TV. When I was growing up, it was Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, it was Bill Bixby's The Hulk, The $6 Billion Man. Great shows in their time, but can't compare to what I'm able to watch now. These are just amazing shows, and it's just my whole fantasy life's coming together for it. When I grew up reading comic books, I was just envisioned what they would be like if they came to life on the silver screen or even on the small screen. And now with the advent of computer technology, they can do all these amazing special effects. If you're not watching any of those shows and you're a comic book fan, urge you to check them out. Most of them are on the CW. I think I mentioned that my favorite superhero movie of all time was the first Superman movie. My absolute worst superhero movie was I think it was Superman 4 with Richard Pryor. It was horrible. That might have been Superman 3. But all the Superman movies after 2 were just awful and should never have been made. I feel bad that that's part of Christopher Reeve's legacy because they were really just awful movies. The first 2 were just genuine. I actually sat through the first Superman movie twice when I was in college. The credits started to roll. It was 1 a.m. I said, what the hell? I'm going to sit here and go through it again. And it was so I sat through it twice in one night and I loved it. The Batman movies, early ones with Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, I think were just awful too. Michael Keaton wasn't too bad. I thought Val Kilmer actually was a pretty decent Batman. And the last one with George Clooney was just a train wreck, and even he admitted it. I actually think, and I may be in the minority here, but I think Ben Affleck is actually going to has made a great Batman. I thought he was great in the last Superman movie. And also, talking about other superheroes, if you're not watching on Netflix, you have Marvel's Luke Cage. You have Iron Fist, which got some really pretty bad reviews, but I'm going to give it a chance. Jessica Drew last year was just phenomenal, just an awesome series. And I'm looking forward to The Defenders. I also watched Daredevil on Netflix. So don't have a lot of time for other things. Sometimes I'm way behind on watching my TVs now, but I feel like we're living in the golden age of superhero movies and TV. The Marvel movies that are coming out are just fantastic. I'm looking forward to the next Thor movie. It's going to be a blockbuster. I'm really looking forward to the Justice League movie. I've been a huge Justice League fan since I was a kid. I have a huge poster in my son's room of them, but I'm really worried that DC's going to screw this up like they've screwed up almost every superhero movie they've made lately. I'm not sure what it is, but they have the best characters. No offense to Marvel, but they really do have the best characters, but they just can't seem to nail the writing and directing. So anyway, that is my passion for comic books. I still collect. I still read. If you've never picked up a comic book, I urge you to get past the whole idea that they're for kids. Go to your local comic book store, check one out. You can pick up a trade paperback, which is usually a compilation of books. Highly recommend the latest that's going on in the DC universe with what's called Rebirth. They're rewriting a lot of the DC characters. There was a short miniseries, I think a 12-issue miniseries called Multiplicity, and that had to do with the multiverse and all different takes on the DC universe. Really fantastic stuff. Anything with Warren Ellis is just fantastic. Artwork, anything by John Byrne, Alan Davis, Jack Kirby, of course, one of the fathers of Marvel Comics. Those are some just outstanding. Neil Adams, great artists. Not great writers, but really good artists. Again, comics are not just for kids, they're for adults too. And that's the problem. There's too many old farts like me out there buying comic books and not enough young kids buying it. So if you have kids, bring them to a comic book store and pick up a book today. So that's it. That's really one of my passions and it's comic books. I do other things. I hope that it shows that I actually work out. I love to work out. I work out 5 to 6 days a week. I also play rugby. It's another one of my passions. We're going to be playing in a tournament here in a couple weeks, or I hope to. And then one of my other passions is I actually pose nude for art classes. I really enjoy the freedom of nudity, and I'm hoping that in a future video I can talk to you a little more about that. So thanks again to Jacob Lenhoff, Tours America, for allowing me to be part of this series, and look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Thanks.